I turned 50 today. No cake, no calls, no family. I thought they forgot. Then I opened Facebook. They were at the beach, using my money, without me. I turned 50 today. The house echoed with silence. I sat at the kitchen table where we'd shared 18 years of birthday breakfasts. No cards, no cake, no family. Just me and the hum of the refrigerator. The morning paper lay folded beside my coffee. I'd already read every section twice. Work called, some crisis about quarterly projections, but I let it ring. Today was supposed to matter. Willow had left early. "Client emergency," she'd said, kissing my forehead like I was her father instead of her husband. Thomas and Piper had vanished before dawn. College kids, I told myself. They have their own lives now. I walked through rooms that felt suddenly foreign. Family photos stared back at me from every surface, but the people in them seemed like strangers. When had we last eaten dinner together? When had anyone asked about my day? The garage door opener sat on the counter, its battery dead for months. I'd mentioned it 3 times. No one cared enough to listen. I found myself in Piper's room, touching the quilt Willow's mother had made. Pink roses and yellow sunshine. The receipt tucked under her jewelry box caught my eye. Dinner at Marcello's, $247.82, dated 2 weeks ago. Willow's signature. We never ate at Marcello's. Too expensive, she always said. I folded the receipt carefully, slipped it into my wallet. Evidence of what? I wasn't sure yet. The silence pressed against my chest. 50 years old, and I felt invisible in my own home. I stared at my laptop screen, cursor blinking in the search bar. Facebook felt pathetic at my age, but loneliness makes cowards of us all. Willow's profile showed nothing recent. Piper's account was locked down tight. But Tomas had always been careless with privacy settings. The photo hit me like a physical blow. Ocean waves, sand between toes. Piper laughing in a sundress I'd never seen. Thomas with a beer and that cocky grin he'd inherited from his grandfather. Willow in the background, sunglasses pushed up, looking younger than she had in years. Birthday beach weekend with the fam. Blessed Mao family time Mao Ocean City, posted 2 hours ago. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the comments. Willow's sister. Looks amazing. Otis, Willow's father. My treat for my favorite people. Favorite people. I wasn't in a single photo. Not one. The timestamp showed they'd been there since yesterday, while I sat in meetings, thinking they were home. While I picked up Piper's dry cleaning and deposited Thomas's rent check. I grabbed the device from my desk drawer, hands shaking as I scrolled through text messages. Nothing from any of them. Radio silence while they built sandcastles and shared inside jokes. The beach house Otis rented every summer, the same one we'd visited as a family until 3 years ago. Until Otis decided I wasn't worth including. Norman's too busy with work, he'd told Willow. I'd overheard through the bedroom door. Let him focus on what he's good at, paying bills. I'd swallowed it then, told myself family harmony mattered more than my feelings. Now I understood. I wasn't too busy. I was too inconvenient. I spread the bank statements across my desk like a crime scene investigator. 3 months of transactions I'd never questioned because I trusted my wife. Marcello's appeared 6 times. Nordstrom, $400. Spa day, $300. Mani-pedi appointments every 2 weeks. The beach house rental, $2,200 charged to our joint account yesterday while I ate leftover Chinese food alone. My phone buzzed. Willow's text. Working late again, don't wait up. The timestamp showed 3:47 p.m. I checked her location sharing, disabled sometime last week. I pulled out the small recording device I'd bought for work presentations. The red light blinked as I tested it, my voice echoing back strange and hollow. 20 years of marriage, and I was gathering evidence like a private detective. The doorbell interrupted my investigation. Mrs. Chen from next door, holding a covered dish. "Happy birthday, Norman," she said, studying my face. I noticed everyone was gone. Thought you might be hungry. I accepted the casserole, throat tight. A neighbor remembered when my own family forgot. They're at the beach, I managed. She nodded, understanding flickering in her eyes. Family can be complicated. After she left, I returned to the statements. A pattern emerged. Every expense justified by Otis's influence. The kids deserve nice things, Willow would say. Dad's just being generous. But it was our money. My overtime, my weekend shifts, my 40-hour weeks stretched to 60. All funding a life I wasn't invited to share. I photographed every receipt, every transaction, built a digital fortress of facts. The camera in our bedroom, Willow's security system from last year, had been recording everything, including her phone calls to Otis, planning this weekend while I slept beside her. They arrived home Sunday evening with sand in their hair and guilt in their eyes. Piper hugged me first, too enthusiastic, overcompensating. "Happy belated birthday, Dad. We brought you saltwater taffy. A bag of candy. For 50 years of life." Thomas avoided eye contact, mumbling about traffic. Willow kissed my cheek and launched into elaborate explanations about last-minute plans and no cell service, and Otis insisting they couldn't disappoint him. I listened without speaking, the receipt from Marcello's burning in my pocket. "You understand, right?" Willow's voice carried that familiar note, half plea, half expectation. "Dad's not getting any younger. These family moments matter." "Family moments," I repeated. "Don't be like that, Norman. You hate the beach anyway." I'd never said I hated the beach. I'd said I was tired from working double shifts to pay for their beach trips. "Show him the photos, Mom," Piper urged, desperate to normalize the betrayal. Willow's phone appeared, screen filled with memories I wasn't part of. Sunset dinners, morning jogs, Thomas teaching Piper to surf while Otis cheered from his beach chair. "Looks like fun," I said evenly. "Next time we'll plan better," Willow promised. "Include you from the start." But we both knew there wouldn't be a next time, not like this. I excused myself to the garage, where I'd spent the weekend organizing 18 years of financial records. Every statement, every receipt, every proof of how thoroughly I'd been erased from my own life. The receipt from Marcello's sat on top of the pile, evidence of secret celebrations while I ate alone. Tomorrow would bring conversations. Tonight, I documented everything. I called in sick Monday morning for the first time in 3 years. Willow found me at the kitchen table, surrounded by bank statements and printed photos. Her face went white when she saw the evidence spread before me like a prosecutor's case. "Norman, what is this?" "Transparency," I said, not looking up from the calculator. "Something we should have tried years ago." The phone buzzed between us, Otis calling, probably wondering why his credit card was declined at the country club. I'd frozen our accounts at 6 a.m. "You can't just—" Willow started. "I can. It's my name on the mortgage, my signature on the loans, my credit rating you've been spending." She sat down heavily, the weight of discovered secrets settling around her. "Dad was just trying to help. The kids needed honesty. You needed boundaries. I needed respect." Thomas wandered in, drawn by voices. He stopped when he saw the financial carnage spread across our table. "What's happening?" "Your mother's been funding a separate family," I said calmly. "One that doesn't include me." "Dad, that's not—" I handed him a printout. $6,000 in the last 3 months. Beach house, dinners, shopping sprees, while I worked overtime to cover the mortgage. Piper appeared in the doorway, still in pajamas. Her face crumpled when she understood the scope of the deception. "We didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did. Every secret text, every hidden plan, every time you chose his money over my presence." The device in my pocket had captured Willow's phone call to Otis yesterday, planning next month's trip to his cabin, another weekend I wouldn't be invited to join. "What do you want?" Willow asked, voice barely audible. Separate accounts, separate decisions, separate consequences for your choices. The silence stretched between us, 18 years of assumptions crumbling into honesty. I moved into the guest room that night. Not forever, just until we figured out what marriage meant when built on truth instead of convenience. Piper knocked on my door around midnight. "Can we talk?" I gestured to the chair by the window. She curled up like she used to during thunderstorms, when I was her hero instead of her ATM. "I didn't know how bad it got," she said quietly. "Your grandfather made sure of that. He told us you preferred work to family time, that you'd rather pay for things than participate in them." The hotel key card I'd found in Willow's purse lay on the nightstand, evidence of weekend trips I'd funded but never joined. I picked it up, feeling its plastic weight. "Did you believe him?" She was quiet for a long moment. "It was easier than asking why you were never there. I was always there, just invisible." "I see you now," she whispered. We sat in comfortable silence until she yawned. I walked her to her room, tucked her in like old times. "Dad, what happens next?" "We learn to be honest. All of us." Thomas waited in the hallway, shoulders hunched with shame. "I'm sorry," he said simply. "For what part?" "All of it. Believing Grandpa's version instead of asking for yours. Letting you pay for everything while treating you like staff." I handed him the key card. "Your mother's been planning another trip. Wants to use this for Otis's cabin next weekend." He stared at the plastic rectangle. "Without you?" "That was the plan." "Not anymore," he said firmly. "If you're not invited, I'm not going." It was a small gesture, but it felt like forgiveness. "Thank you." He hugged me awkwardly, like he'd forgotten how. "I missed you, Dad, even when I didn't know I was missing you." I woke to the smell of pancakes and the sound of voices in the kitchen. Real conversation, not the polite stranger talk we'd perfected. Willow stood at the stove, hair pulled back, looking older but somehow clearer. She'd been crying, but her eyes held something I hadn't seen in years: honesty. "Good morning," she said carefully. "Morning." Piper and Thomas sat at the table, phones nowhere in sight. They'd been talking, actually talking, about college, work, life beyond Otis's influence. "I called Dad," Willow said, flipping pancakes with unnecessary precision. "Told him we won't be joining him this weekend." "How did he take it?" "About as well as you'd expect. Threats to cut off support, accusations of ingratitude." She turned to face me. "I told him we'd manage without his help." The camera mounted in the corner, her security system, had been quietly recording our family's dissolution and reconstruction. Evidence of how quickly everything could change when truth replaced performance. "The kids want to plan your birthday party," she continued. "A real one. Just us. And you? I want to remember why I married you, before the money and the expectations and the keeping up with Dad's version of success." I poured coffee, considering. "Separate accounts?" "Separate accounts," she agreed. "And full transparency. No more secrets." Thomas looked up from his plate. "Does this mean family dinners? Like regular ones?" "If you want them." "I want them," Piper said quickly. "I want to know you again. Not Grandpa's version of you." The morning light caught the lens of the small device on the counter, no longer recording evidence of betrayal, but documenting our first honest conversation in years. Outside, Mrs. Chen waved from her garden, a neighbor who'd shown more kindness than my own family. But families could change. People could choose differently. "So," Willow said, setting pancakes before me. 51 starts today?" I cut into the stack, tasted something I'd almost forgotten. Hope. 51 starts today. The pancakes tasted like childhood mornings before everything went wrong. Before Dad's drinking, before Mom's silence, before Willow learned to disappear into herself. We ate in comfortable quiet, the kind that comes after storms pass. I was thinking, Willow said, pouring more coffee. Maybe we could clean out Dad's office together. Not to erase him, but to make space for something new. I nodded, surprised by how right that felt. What about Mom's sewing room? Turn it into something we both use? A reading nook, maybe, with that window seat she always talked about building. The phone rang. We both froze, conditioned by years of dreading calls that brought bad news. But Willow reached for it with steady hands. Hello? A pause. Yes, this is Willow Chen. Willow Martinez. She caught my eye, smiling slightly. I'd like to schedule that appointment we discussed. Therapy? She was actually going. After she hung up, I pulled out my phone and scrolled to Dr. Patel's number, the grief counselor Sarah had recommended months ago. My finger hovered over the call button. 51 doesn't have to be perfect, Willow said softly, reading my hesitation. Just different? Just honest. I pressed call. Later, we sat on the porch swing Dad had installed when we were kids, watching Mrs. Chen tend her roses. The house behind us felt lighter somehow, as if ghosts had finally found their way to rest. Think we can really do this? I asked. Willow's hand found mine. I think we have to try. The swing creaked gently in the afternoon breeze, carrying us forward into whatever came next.